People of faith are allies to generation equality.
We welcome the Generation Equality Forum. We take this opportunity to speak out the whole and recommendation to the UN and its member states, to the leaders and fellow commitment makers of the Action Coalition and the WPS-Humanitarian Action Compact, and to our civil society colleagues.
In 1995, 189 countries adopted the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, a bold and ambitious roadmap for gender equality.
In the last 26 years, religious actors have been working from the local to the global to transform gender norms, implement programs, reform unjust laws, and promote gender justice.
We lament that some religious actors have also contributed to slowing and even blocking progress towards the achieving of the Beijing Platform for Action. We call on our constituencies to be accountable for our own human rights violations and to counter anti-rights actors who are instrumentalizing religion.
Commitment to action coalitions. The action coalitions are a new impetus to address pre-existing systemic and structural issues, while also seeking to address new challenges, including the COVID-19 pandemic, increasing inequalities, rising racism, and the climate crisis.
As religious actors rooted in local communities, we understand how forms of repression are interrelated and recognize gender injustice as an intersectional issue. Therefore, we are pivotal partners in addressing them in local to global spaces and are making significant commitments to the action coalitions.
We are called to work in partnership for the protection and promotion of human dignity and to achieve gender justice. We recognize that we all benefit from a more gender equal society.
As people of faith, we are mobilizing and equipping our communities around the world to address the root causes of gender-based violence, including promoting prevention and early intervention strategies, decolonizing language and scripture, and speaking out against gender injustices. We are also working to serve those who have been subjected to gender-based violence by creating safe spaces and advocating for their rights.
Our voice on economic justice and rights. The COVID-19 pandemic has exposed pre-existing structural injustices and inequalities. We are committed to working for economic justice and rights, which is essential for broader social change. This includes tackling systemic issues related to unpaid care work, unequal pay, social protection, and reforming family laws, while also transforming gender norms.
Religious actors are mobilizing to address and transgender norms, which act as barriers to bodily autonomy. Religious leaders are often trusted voices in communities and therefore have a critical role in transforming gender norms, promoting comprehensive sexuality education, and enabling access to gender-responsive sexual and reproductive health services.
Climate justice, ecological degradation, and the impact on people and life forms are intertwined. They are one phenomenon and must be addressed holistically. Religious actors are powerful forces for climate advocacy, which addresses interconnected issues such as racial justice, ending gender-based violence, and defending indigenous rights at local, regional, and global spaces. We advocate for just transition towards a low-carbon economy, which ensures women's rights are protected and promoted.
The challenges posed by COVID-19 have awakened us all to the effectiveness of digital technologies, but also to the limited access that many of our communities experience. We are alarmed by the global rise of racism and hate speech in virtual spaces, which is often experienced by women, young women, and girls in all their diversity.
We all, including religious actors, have a role to play in enabling access to safe online spaces, which we believe are a common good.
Feminist movements and leadership. We recognize the absolute need to advance the leadership of women, young women and girls in all their diversity, in all spheres of society, including in our faith communities. We are committed to addressing the power dynamics and barriers that currently exist, and to promoting inclusive leadership in the spaces that we occupy and create. We are working with feminist theologians to strengthen narratives for gender equality. We are also working to support young women and girls of faith to be heard in decision-making spaces. The faith community is and will continue to be an integral part within grassroots-led feminist movements, working to break silos and counter patriarchal backlashes.
Women, young women and girls are important stakeholders in peace building, conflict prevention, and conflict resolution. However, they are often excluded from participation in peace processes due to gender norms and tradition which we seek to transform. We also uphold the critical work of human rights defenders who are working for peace and gender equality. We will continue to amplify and protect courageous voices who are boldly speaking out to achieve human rights for all.
Faith in Beijing call for partnership. We call upon you all to work with religious actors and faith-based networks to advance our shared goals for generation equality. 1. Recognize the unique role of religious actors, including women and girls, in our power to influence in the communities that we serve. Our platforms can be used to transform gender norms and to mobilize our diverse constituencies toward achieving gender equality at every level.
Number 2, increase funding and resources to enable strategic partnerships at all levels with religious actors who have strong track records of working for gender equality and for fulfilling the Beijing Platform for Action.
Number 3, enable all stakeholders to engage critically in the gender and religion nexus, including working with men and boys and religious leaders to advance action towards achieving the Beijing Platform for Action and Agenda 2030.
Co-develop gender justice policies, strategies, and programs with religious actors, which strengthen intersectional approaches to institutional changes and accountability.
Partner with us to promote feminist theologies that promote equality and counter backlashes to achieving gender equality, in particular when anti-rights actors are instrumentalizing our religions to block progress.
Recognize us as a reference point who can enable partnership with local communities and share our learnings from working with religious and traditional leaders to be catalysts for social change.
Partner with us to amplify the unique voices and perspectives of young women of faith within policy and advocacy forums and debate.
Join us in our local, regional, and global advocacy as we seek to reform laws and policies to address systematic inequalities and to advance gender equality in all spheres of our society.
Addressing the lack of gender disaggregated data and accountability mechanisms to strengthen our collective efforts and understanding of policy programmatic impacts to advance gender equality.
Work with us to tackle systemic racism wherever it is encountered, as we will never achieve gender equality without racial justice.